In this video, we're going to cover the Code UI, and this Code UI is probably the most important aspect of the CodeWP platform. It's where you can easily generate code snippets and even complete WordPress plugins to easily extend your installation or other plugins using modes. So this Code UI is a bit complex. This video will walk you through all the features of it and should give you a good understanding of how it actually works. So let's jump right into it. The coding UI can be accessed via several ways. From the dashboard, you can click into a mode, which will pre-select the mode in the coding user interface. We discuss modes in another video in this initial onboarding series. You can also open an existing snippet that you've created in the past in the coding UI by heading over to the action menu and clicking edit snippet. That will open whatever you've created in the editor. Or from the left sidebar menu, you can always create a new something by clicking this button. This create new button is the primary action you can take on the platform. It brings you to this screen, what would you like to do, where you can jump into the coding UI or the chat UI, which we have another video on in this same series. For this coding UI example, I can either click directly into the code UI or I can select an existing mode. So if I have Oxygen Builder selected and then I click into create a new snippet, this will bring me to the code UI with Oxygen Builder's mode pre-selected. The default behavior is always WordPress. This is the free mode. This will always be accessible and it will always be set with an empty preset. I can also choose a preset to jump into as well. We cover presets in more detail in another video. Let's jump into the actual user interface and talk about what it looks like and how it's used. So I'm just going to click create a new snippet. This will bring me into the coding user interface and we can see that the mode is WordPress. So everything generated here is going to be specifically related to WordPress, not any other plugin. If I want to create code for Gravity Forms or ACF or Elementor, I would jump into these individual modes like so. But we're going to stick with WordPress for now, and we're going to work from the top down in this interface to give you a good overview of how it works. So first, let me give you a demonstration of what this interface is actually used for. I mentioned it can be used to create plugins, create snippets, create code, whatever the case is. But essentially, this gives you a conversational interface to custom trained WordPress and plugin specific models based on the mode selected to go and create, edit, and explain code. So in this example, I'm just going to say create a new dashboard board. Create a new dashboard widget that displays one of 6 inspirational, and I apologize for the horrific spelling, I'm typing with one hand, but essentially I'm going to say to our AI right in this interface right here, create some code or edit some code or explain some code. And what happens when we interact with our AI here, it then goes ahead and creates code or edits code or explains code in the current file open in this coding user interface. So we could see that the index.php file was empty. And now because I've asked it to go and create some code, it becomes written and gets written right into this empty file right here. So that's the core flow of how this user interface works. Ignoring everything else on this page, essentially we have our file. The file is empty when we get started, and then we can go over to our AI, and in this AI we can say do something, create some code, explain some code, something like that. That's the core interaction with this user interface. But there are a lot of other things on this interface to help you, number one, tailor the code and outputs that you get, manage the code and generations that are created, and make things a bit more personal to your WordPress site, to your creation goals, and things like that. So I'll just jump through all of the various elements of this screen and show you how it works. So right up top, we have our dashboard. This dashboard allows us to open the most recent snippets that we've created. So if I close this interface and then I come back into an empty index.php file, I can go to this dashboard and easily find my recent index.php file that I've created. This jumps us into the chat UI. We cover the chat UI in more detail in another video. And this is where we manage everything that we've been creating in this editor session. So right now we had our empty index.php file. We created some code which was written directly into that index.php file by our AI. If I want to create some other code that doesn't have anything to do with this existing snippet that I've just created, I can click that plus button and say shortcode.php, create that file, and the shortcode PHP file will then be created. This now is an empty file that can then be added to, edited, explained with our AI. We can see in our chat right here that we've created the shortcode.php file. And now we can go and say, make a shortcode for my site that says hello world. And we'll submit that, and it will create new code that is unrelated to this file right here, and it will write it directly in and then tell me what's happened like so. So in this example, we've just made a very simple hello world shortcode that is now added to our site. And it explains exactly what happened right here. This works with WordPress version 6.4, which is the most recent version as of this recording, and PHP version 8, which is also the most recent major PHP version as of this recording. So we can jump back and forth between these individual file tabs like so, and we can close files that we've created and no longer want to use, and we can create new files like so. CodeWP also has a system called packages. Packages allow you to take multiple files like this and package them up so they can be exported as plugins, themes, or just used for organization. So packages are essentially folders of multiple snippets or files that have been created in the platform. And these packages can be created manually, or they can be created with the artificial intelligence. So if I gave a request that said, make a shortcode for my site that says hello world, but also include a CSS file that styles the output of this, it would require two files. And these two files are related files, so they would be created within a package. Now I can also manually create a file as well. So let's say I go and say span class equals shortcode, and then I close that tag. Now this is HTML that will allow me to target this shortcode's output with CSS. So if I go and create this, now I can say enqueue CSS to style this current shortcode, make the text red. And I'll submit that. And it will go and create a new file within the package that adds whatever my code is. And I'll go and clean things up. Now we'll also say we need to enqueue this file that was just created for us by the AI in the code UI. We need to enqueue it in this PHP. So I'll say edit the code accordingly. We need to add this script. And what it will do is it will say, okay, I see that the shortcode style CSS is within this package. Let's go and include it. So that's the purpose of the package right here. And you can see that in the file tabs, we now have a folder, which signifies that package. And we have two files that are within that folder, within that package. We can also see over here that there's one package open and ready to go. Now, I can also add and manually create packages like so. I can say index.php, and maybe I can say index2.php. And this plus button is available to me when I have a file selected and it's available to me within that file. So when I click this plus button and create a file, it automatically associates it with this package. So now I have two packages open in my editor, and these two packages do what is intended of them. They organize and classify multiple files into a package, which can then be exported as a plugin. I can manually create them, or I can automatically create them with the AI. So this is the usage of the file tabs and how the file tabs work with the actual code user interface. Now let's take a look at right here. We can see that we have an ability to add this snippet to my favorites. So if this is something that I know I'm going to be using multiple times, I can click that star button and it will add it to my favorites, which can then be easily filtered into in the snippets view or the dashboard. I can copy this code and then paste it. You can see it just gets copied to my clipboard. I can also download this snippet as shortcode.php. This will download the individual file that's currently open. This displays the saved state of the file. If I make any edit, there's no autosave, but it will tell me this is unsaved. If I paste anything in, it will automatically save things. And if I just revert back to the old version, you'll see that it's saved because that's the real version. It's unsaved because it's not. I can click this save button to then go and save the actual file. And continuing over, I can see that this is in an unnamed package. I can click this to open the package. I can rename the file by clicking on the file name, and I can change the file's language by clicking on that extension. And we can see that we can make it a CSS, JavaScript, JSON, or PHP file. In this example, there's no purpose in changing the extension, but if I have an empty file and I only want to create CSS or I only want to create JavaScript for a specific plugin or for WordPress, I can change that extension very easily. This trash can icon allows me to delete the file, so I'll go into my unnamed package, my empty index2.php file, click delete, confirm that deletion, and we'll go ahead and delete that. You can also see that because now it's only one single file, the package disappears as well, and now this is a single file. Heading on over, clicking the save button saves things associated with that. The share button allows me to publicly share this code with anybody on the web. So if I click share, then click publish, then click copy URL, we can share this file with anybody on the internet. And I'll actually show you how that works right now. I'll click share, publish, copy the URL. You can see that this is a special sharing user URL that's copied to the user's clipboard. And if I click into that, it will give me this specific view of whatever was created and saved right here. So if I make any edit, and I save it, it will update on this shared interface. When a user shares a file, we go into this in more detail in another video, but it gives an artificially created title, an AI created description, as well as AI created FAQs, which are quite helpful. So I'll go and unsave this by clicking unpublish. And finally, this is the preview feature. We cover this in more detail in another video, but I'll also show you how it works a little bit later in this walkthrough. All right, so far we understand that this coding user interface allows us to easily create multiple files, easily create packages of multiple files, easily manage these multiple files, and then interact with AI right down here. The AI only refers to the package or the files that are currently open in this editor. So if I have this package open, it understands what is my file, what is my file structure of this package, and I'll make it a little more confusing by adding a CSS folder prefix and then going back to the shortcode, modifying this like so. And then jumping back into this file right here, what is my and I'll just say explain instead of edit what my package. So we can just see that the AI has a good understanding of what's going on in the actual editor right here. So our package file constructor consists of two main files, this and that. And I just mistakenly pasted that like so. But it contains our file structure of whatever's open in the package. If I jump into this file, the AI will then now discuss, relate, edit, explain, whatever, this file right here. Okay, so now I think we have a good understanding of the core flow, interface, usage, general usage of this tool. Now let's take a look at this right sidebar, as well as some of the more fine-tuning things that you can do to get the perfect code output for WordPress. And we'll go top down. Up top is a site. We discuss sites in more detail in another video. When you link a site, it allows the AI to understand what the plugins are on your WordPress website, what the PHP version is, what the server environment is, and it takes all of that information and it accounts for it in your generations right here. So, for example, if you have a custom post type of dinosaurs, but the key of that custom post type is dinosaur_post, if we have our site connected with that dinosaur post type on it, we wouldn't have to specify that the key is different to the AI because it will already understand the makeup of the WordPress website. So I'll refer to you to go to the site's overview video to learn more about it, but essentially this tooltip explains it in its core. So I'm going to unassociate, and you can also see that this is the site that I have right here. We have various settings. I'm going to unassociate that site like so, and then we can jump into the packages. So as I've explained before, packages bundle files into themes or plugins. Right now we have one package open, which we can see right here. If I click into the packages, we can view that this was the AI generated package. This code keeps showing up, so we want to get rid of that. This is the AI generated package, the associated snippets within that package, and we can download the package as a zip file to easily install it on a WordPress website. Simple. This is the information about the current snippet that's open right now. So I'll jump into this snippet right here. We can see that the visibility is private, the title is whatever, the description is whatever. The associated mode used to generate this is WordPress, the language is PHP. Now if I go ahead and publish this snippet, and I'll just reload the entire editor, it will display this is now public. So that's just information about the snippet itself. We can also open the snippet into that view that I showed you earlier. This is a snippet right now that is currently not public, but it can be shared to any user if I publish it, copy the short link, paste it in, that'll bring you to that layout right there. We go over the sharing in more detail in another video. Finally, we get to modes and presets. And these are probably the most important aspect of the platform as a side to the actual coding user interface. Everybody has access to the WordPress user interface or the WordPress mode. WordPress just creates code for WordPress. We can also use free presets like the cron job or the query or the shortcode or whatever it may be. We cover modes and presets in a lot more detail in other videos. But if I switch into the ACF mode, and I create a new file, acf demo.php, I can say make an example 3 field in a custom group up to you on. So I'll tell the AI to make me an example of code in the ACF mode without specifying that I want to create ACF fields. And because this mode is selected, it will output code specifically aimed and tailored towards advanced custom fields. And you can see that this is accurate code for advanced custom fields. So that's the mode. And if I switch into another mode, it's the same thing. It creates code for that specific plugin. Now, the preset we've gone over. This is where you actually enter your prompt. There are a couple of keyboard shortcuts. So Shift Enter allows us to break the line. Command Enter or Command Return allows us to submit the actual message. We can expand the message input like so. We can pull out the input like that. And we can bring it back to its normal size like that. I like making it kind of half the screen. I find that that's a good middle ground for my message inputs. And I also like making this half the screen as well, unless I have a ton of files up top, where then I will keep it like that. These various buttons control the actual conversation itself. So this is external context. It's coming soon. We can add a link, which it can then refer to. So you can add a link to a documentation page if it's not creating the perfect code for you. Right here are conversation settings, and this allows you to tailor the output that's occurring in this current session in the coding user interface. So auto classification allows the AI to understand, should I be generating code, should I be editing code, or should I be explaining code? If I turn this off, I manually select generate, edit, explain whenever I submit a message. And this is really helpful in case the auto classification isn't working. Plugin mode means that for every new snippet I create that isn't dependent on another snippet, it will automatically add plugin headers. Inline code comments adds inline code comments. Doc block comments adds doc block comments when the context allows for it. So if I'm creating a plugin with multiple functions, it will add special doc block comments. OOP mode generates code in an object-oriented programming manner. And composer packages allows the AI to include very popular composer packages. Of course, you'll need to install these packages after downloading the plugin and set up Composer. So this is why it's toggled off. The response level can be basic, normal, or advanced. Advanced is more advanced code. Basic is more basic code. Normal is what the normal interface is for. And we typically just recommend to keep this at normal. You can learn more right here by just clicking the Learn More link, as well as under any little tooltip icon, you can click the Learn More and you'll get into really detailed information about how this interface works. So this is a complete overview of the code user interface. We have another tab right here called testing, which we'll cover in another video in this series. And we also have the vision mode preview. This is available in a private beta to select users. We'll update this video when the vision mode is publicly available. But essentially, the usage of the code UI is to create single file snippets and multi-file plugins, leveraging our custom modes and presets to easily interface with a WordPress specific AI and have it edit and explain and change code in real time in the editor. I'll show you one more example of please explain the purpose of lines 20, I think it's 20 to 29. And this is just an example of, again, the editor refers to various things. So this is just an example of the coding user interface. I hope this gave a good overview of every feature that it has to offer. I know I promised that I would show you the preview feature at the end of this demonstration, so I'll jump into index.php and we'll click into the preview feature. So the preview feature, we'll cover this in a lot more detail in another video, but it shipped with version 2.5 and it builds WordPress directly into our interface. So we can easily jump into the chat user interface. We can easily generate code using AI, and I believe it was the first question that I had. Create a new dashboard widget that does X, Y, and Z, generate that code, and then turn on the preview to test if the code actually is working. So I believe we'll see if it actually configured or not. Okay, the final thing I want to show you on the coding user interface is this preview feature, and we'll go into this in a lot more detail in its standalone demonstration video. But essentially what this is for is to give you a preview of the AI code that you've generated. So the general flow is to jump into this user interface, go and prompt the AI to edit the code or generate the code, edit the code, explain the code, extend the code, whatever the case may be. And then we finally have a working snippet right here that looks pretty good on my end. Now we can click the preview toggle, and this will turn WordPress on directly in the CodeWP experience. Install the snippet for that specific... I'm gonna fucking explode. Okay, the final thing I'm gonna show you is the preview toggle as mentioned previously. This goes ahead and turns on a WordPress preview and installs this code directly into WordPress right within the CodeWP editor. So I've gone ahead and generated my code. I'll click into preview, and this will pull the code directly into WordPress, get everything set up, and I'll be able to test my code accordingly. Okay, that is the core overview of the CodeWP code user interface. I hope this walked you through every single feature that this has to offer. There are a lot more videos that we have completely orienting you on the platform, showing you how things work, showing you the best practices of using CodeWP. So definitely check out that YouTube playlist or head over to codewp.ai/help to see all of the videos available to you.